Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest of boxing. If you want to become part of the notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel, donations, Venmo, and the Patreon family. We are working. Now, Top Rank founder Bob Arum, Mayweather, he's a boring fight. Right? We all know Arum. He did an interview with ESPN Deportes, and he said something that I liked, so I wanted to make a video about it. Now, Bob Arum says, I think Terence Crawford is an enormous talent. Right? He goes on to say, I know that if he wins the welterweight title, I am going to look to match him being Crawford, with a number of fighters that are managed by Al Haymon, like Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, and a huge fight would be one with Errol Spence Jr. Right? That would be a big pay-per-view fight. Bravo, Bob Arum. Music to my ears. Now, the only thing I will say is a little bit weird is it seems like, I don't know, I'm just saying, it seems like sometimes the African American fighters, they have to fight whoever on Top Rank. They just have to, like Tim Bradley, Crawford, like even guys that no one really wants to fight, because like Felix Diaz, right? Victor Postal, right? They get matched hard. But then when there's like a guy who's like a cash cow, like a Pacquiao, how come Pacquiao never got matched with Terence Crawford, which would have been a style that I personally think would have gave Pacquiao problems. So just my observation. But nonetheless, I want to see these fights. And if Bob Arum is thinking like this, I mean, these are good fights for the state of boxing. Terence Crawford beat Danny Garcia in the amateurs. Obviously, amateurs is a different system than the pros. But Crawford right now, I say, has more momentum. Danny Garcia is coming off a loss and hasn't returned since. So, could be a good fight. I think it would be a good fight. Keith Thurman, obviously, is a good fight. And Errol Spence, I would agree, could be a pay-per-view deal. Like, that could be like a last man standing. Like, I would like to see Terence Crawford, let's say, fight Jeff Horn, then to Danny Garcia, or Danny Garcia fight Porter, and then Crawford fight the winner of that. Something like that. Keith Thurman fight Errol Spence, and then the winner of that fight the winner of Crawford. I mean, there's just so many ways you can mix and match the welterweight division. And I think that's a great thing for boxing, because there's a top talent, you know what I mean? Even Danny Garcia, he has one loss. Crawford, no losses. Thurman, no losses, right? Errol Spence, no losses. So a lot of the prime guy, Pacquiao, we don't know what he's trying to do. Jeff Horn's undefeated. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways you can mix and match, and I'm happy that Terence Crawford was able to do what he did at 140 and has decided to move up. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a couple of fights that I wouldn't mind if he would have stayed at 144, but it doesn't make sense. Give your body a rest, make it easier. Crawford looks like he has the frame to move up, and the bigger challenges and bigger purses, bigger paydays are probably at welterweight. But there was only a handful, there's like 3 fights that I think would be suitable for Crawford at 140. Mikey Garcia, Regis Prograis, or Adrian Broner. And obviously Regis Prograis is just kind of like a boxing purist type of fight, because Regis hasn't stepped up to anyone near the level of Crawford. So that's just a fight. From what I've seen, Regis looks like he's a solid fighter. We'll see how he does against Victor Postal. But obviously Broner would be big business, and a Mikey Garcia rematch from the amateurs would be big. But those fights, who knows? Who knows the likelihood? Who knows what? I heard Broner might try to fight Rancis Bartholomew and stuff like that. So who knows? Who knows what those guys are trying to do? And I agree, there's some big fights. And I just overall like this, because for years we dealt with the Cold War, where we had to worry about Golden Boy doesn't want to work with Top Rank, and Al Haymon was working with Golden Boy, and then Richard Schaefer left, and then they're not working together, and then it looked like Golden Boy and Top Rank were working together. Now they're not really working. You know what I'm saying? I'm just sick of that whole Al Haymon can't work with Bob Arum, and I hate that whole. You look at it, those were some of the lamer years in boxing. Like, don't get me wrong, there was still Mayweather versus Canelo, Lucas Matisse versus Danny Garcia. You still had some good fights, but it's cracking in 2017. And I think everybody, from a business perspective, puts pride aside, make the Canelo Triple G. You know what I mean? They made Mayweather Pacquiao. You know what I mean? Just make these fights and work together. And boxing is, to me, is in a better place with less of the politics, like, and just more of the fight. So just the fact that, even though it hasn't happened yet, just the fact that Arum is telling ESPN that there's a number of Al Haymon managed fighters that he would like to match Crawford with. And just for all the doubters, all the detractors, Bob Arum has made Crawford fights with Al Haymon fighters. Felix Diaz, Al Haymon advised, and also John Molina Jr. So it's not like he hasn't worked with Al Haymon at all recently. So I'm liking the sign. It's a sign of the times. Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, all these are good fights. Spence. And then you have people like Daniel Jacobs at middleweight. He's Al Haymon managed, but now he's promoted by Eddie Hearn going to HBO. So I like all these guys really working with each other. I don't really care about the networks, even though I think Showtime this year has been killing HBO. But more or less, I'm just a boxing fan. You know what I mean? I like Arum putting fights on ESPN. I like the setup. I covered Crawford and Dongo. It was well lit at the press conference. And it was just like kind of like a talk show, The View style of press conference. It was real quaint, real laid back. People got to answer their questions and ask their questions, all that stuff. So I just like this talk from Bob Arum, and hopefully we get something like that. Crawford, I really think if I'm a betting man, I would have to bet that Crawford is, even though he hasn't moved to welterweight, he'll do good there and is one of the best welterweights. That's just my theory. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you want to see Crawford fight, and do you think Crawford Spence can be built up to pay-per-view? I definitely think it can. They probably have to build it a little bit more, and I'm not saying like, oh, let it marinate like a promoter. I'm just saying Errol Spence, he come off the Kell Brooks, so if he beats Lamont Peterson, you know what I mean, give him someone else like a Danny Garcia, Porter, whoever, right? Then maybe a Keith Thurman, and then the winner of that fight against Terence Crawford. And Crawford, in the meantime, he could be fighting the Jeff Horns, maybe Pacquiao, you know what I mean, just go through and get it acclimated to welterweight, and I think that can be a really big fight. You let me know what it can be and what it can't be. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video's ego, son. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.